Okay. Good evening, everybody. Let me share the agenda. Welcome to our February 8th meeting. I'm glad to see that you are all here. Can you guys see the agenda okay? I can't see
Yes.
anyone. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so Ashlyn, our secretary, will dispense roll call as we go. I do actually have the minutes up today for item 3. Let me get that up. Okay, so you guys should have received the minutes this weekend from last week's meeting on February 1st. Did anybody have any questions or concerns about them before we vote on them? Any questions or concerns? Okay, fantastic. That being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our February 1st meeting.
Carrie.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes from last week, please do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, do a clapping emoji. And any abstentions, do a heart emoji. Fantastic. The minutes are approved unanimously. Moving on down the agenda, next up is open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? Okay. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move on. As we get into speaker's podium, I'd just like to remind you guys, out of respect for our guests, if you don't mind turning on your camera unless you've received explicit permission to do otherwise. It helps for the Zoom experience to feel a little bit more personal. So I'd like to introduce our guest for this evening, the Vice President for Marketing and CCO, Jeff Noblet, and Dr. Howard Patterson, the Vice President for Athletics. You guys have the floor.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And this is presenting on Zoom is sometimes actually better than in person, so we can share screen, hopefully, assuming the technology works. But I'm super excited to be here and to share where we're at on the athletics brand development. And this builds on the work that was completed at the end of the last calendar year for the institutional or academic mark. We're working in partnership with the same partner, Edelman, and I'm hoping that the VP from Edelman will join. I don't see her in yet. So if you see a Karen Schmidt in the waiting room, please go on and let her in. But I'm also happy to have Dr. Howard Patterson join us as well. So this has been a real great collaboration thus far with the athletics team, the internal marketing communications team, and the creative partner who developed the institutional mark. And what I'm happy to share today is essentially where we're at. We're excited with where we're at, but we want to come and get your feedback and then use that feedback to help refine and essentially finalize the direction for our athletics brand marks. And you know, this is something that is really not just for athletics. It becomes our institutional spirit mark, and I think that students, you are the keepers of that spirit flame, and so you have an important perspective for us. And so what you're going to see tonight is again, it's a work in progress. It's black and white, so when it's finalized, it will incorporate colors. We're going to show you the journey that we're on in terms of the development and the strategy behind that, and how we're trying to develop a comprehensive visual identity for the university that includes the academics, athletics, as well as our connection to UT Health East Texas. Taking one more peek to see if Karen has come in. It doesn't look like it, so I'm going to see if I can share screen. Let's see. Hold on one moment. Apologies. Of course, I didn't have this prepared, but that's okay. We're going to be there in one moment. You know what, Casey? I need to jump and rejoin if that's okay, so I can share, unless Karen has joined. Doesn't look like it. Apologies. I just need to quit out of Zoom and I can be right back on in hopefully 30 seconds.
No problem.
I'm going to do that right now.
All right.
Okay.
Dr. Patterson, long time no see. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
Glad to be back in full swing again, sort of.
Absolutely.
And here I am talking about how great Zoom is, and then I have this do it. But now let me try again. Okay, this looks more like what I was hoping to share. All right, can everybody see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right, okay, we're in business. Okay, so again, where we're at is what I like to call, I mean, in marketing and branding, this is called qualitative. So we want to hear feedback, and what you share will influence the development of these marks. And just to give a grounding in kind of where we're at in the process is we've shared with Faculty Senate Executive Committee and plan to go to the full Faculty Senate. We want to share with Staff Senate, and coming tonight to this body is important to collect the student perspective. And like I said, I really see you as vital partners in this brand development. We also are planning to go to a group of alumni and friends next week. And so then really take all of that feedback, make the final refinements, and then to share the direction with all students, all faculty, all staff, all alumni, and to collect that feedback and finalize where we're at. So with that, let me advance. So like I said, this is something that is meant to build on the system that we have. And so you see some of the brand equity that exists from the UT Health East Texas, the shield, the use of the star, the colors. And then there's some of those elements were present in the university identity that we're transitioning from with, again, the star, the colors, the blue being very important. There's regional equity around some of these symbols and the symbolism for the state of Texas, for East Texas particularly, that we've built into both the academic mark, and then you'll see the through line, I think, into the athletics direction that I'm sharing tonight. So again, this is some of that inspiration and symbolism for the academic logo. I think I saw Karen joining. I'm going to pause a second and see. Karen, if you're there, I could hand the baton or keep going. I'm not hearing her. I saw her in the waiting room. Let me see. I think she might just be joining now. So I'll keep going. So again, this shows the development of the UT Tyler mark with UT Health East Texas and the current mark that we're moving from. Very excited to really hear from our stakeholders, primarily students and alumni, and the equity around the Eagle and swoop and how important that is. That's something that I've heard a lot about in my short time at the university, and really this goal to bring back swoop graphically into our athletics mark and our spirit mark, to incorporate the blue that we've traditionally had as part of our athletics marks, and to bring dynamic type here. You know, you see this movement and the sense, this really kind of three-dimensionality almost. It's very unique, but to also echo some of those things that were in the academic identity. So you see this current system, including swoop here. You know, the Eagle and swoop is across campus. It's such a strong symbol for us, whether it's in the university center or outside of our alumni house. So the really talented team, both internally and externally with Edelman, is part of our exploration. We looked at other systems, and you see how the academic mark has echoes in terms of color, but athletics marks really being its own system. And so we really looking at what other NCAA schools are using for their marks, looking at especially D1 as aspirant institutions and their systems. Really just a great, very grounded and thoughtful process. So again, I want to share some of the lead directions and that we worked on with the team, and then to show kind of where we're at today, and then to open it up for feedback and discussion. So these were some of the out of a really robust menu of directions that the creative team developed. We were gravitated towards these three options. So this first one, we liked the position of the Eagle with the talons up and that rally cry. We liked that this created a not terribly subtle, but kind of an unstated shield shape without literally having it in the graphic container. But then having that option for the option 2, having that closer in view of the Eagle with the star and in coming out of, emerging from the shield shape, and then creating a type treatment that builds off of the current UT Tyler Patriots typeface, which, if there's any font nerds in the group, Museo Slab Serif, and I raise my hand for that one, as a starting point, but then creating some custom dynamic elements to that. So this is one that I hearken back to my childhood and the Highlights magazine, where the can you spot the difference? So these are showing some different refined options, but not final, of the Eagle graphic and how it would work with the fonts. And so here you'll see that the Eagle's head is connected, and the white connects to the wing, on the left side. For 2, that's removed to have a little bit different dimensionality. But for both of these, you have the Eagle's head up in kind of a noble pose, if you will. And then in option 3, you have it where it's a little bit more in an attack mode and coming down in that attack position, which for athletics is appropriate. And then we have refinements as well for the shield shape, and having a little bit less white in the neck for option A, option B, a little bit more, and then showing how it works with the word mark. And I'll end with this slide, just showing how this works as a system. And Karen, if she's able to share her screen, I'm going to jump off in a moment and see if she's, I know she's joined. I'm
actually unmuted and someone got me on, so I'm all good.
Okay. So thank you, Karen. And, don't we love
You did a great job, by the way.
Yeah, don't we love technology? So this is Karen. She's VP and design director at Edelman and has been a great partner along with the internal team. Like I said, Dr. Patterson and his team, and Beverly Golden, if you've met with her, and Olivia Pack, and Rachel French from the Health Science Center team. So Karen, I don't know if you want to share your final slide, if you're able to, real quick, and then we can.
Yeah, let me just, it took me a minute to get on. So yeah, I think you did a great job, by the way. You've heard me do this so many times in a row, you probably got it down. So yeah, apologies. I came in very, very late. I had let me see if I can share screen. So you didn't get to this last one, right?
Yeah, the version that I shared, I didn't have the one that had the marks. Yeah, there you go. That was it. So,
yep.
So anything I missed? Yeah, Karen, I can be quiet for a minute.
It didn't sound like it. It sounded like you kind of covered that really well. Again, I feel like you've heard me say it so many times, but yeah, just to reiterate, a lot of thought's been put in to try to make this feel as though we wanted to make sure that we are really carrying through the equity of UT Tyler, even though we're still laddering up to, UT Health East Texas branding. So we wanted to make sure that, the very beginnings of our stages of exploration, we presented to the team and said, do we want it to be more cartoony? Do you want to be more, stylistic? And we had, different, even just styles of how we want to do this. We came to something we felt like was really strong feeling and, really carried some of that character. So as Jeff was saying, there's things that we are trying to carry through with the serif fonts and eventually color, because color is going to make a big difference. But we want to make sure that we started with a black and white, because you really need the negative and positive shapes to be working, so they can work small and big. And once you have that, color can be deceiving. You can love something in color, and then you break it down to a one color and it kind of falls apart. So that's why you're seeing black and white as well. But there's still refinement to be done. I mean, there's, I look at these things and there's still going to be, how do you make sure that shield shape really matches and stuff like that. But I think that, we really want to get your guys' instincts on this, because this is your mark, this is your school, this is Swoop, this is the Eagle, and I know that we really, we had done so much exploration of what the pose was of the Eagle. And then when we found out you guys had, there's a talons up, rally cry, that we thought that was great, that he had, one that was like that kind of situation. Want to make sure it feels right. And it feels like it represents, what you feel is your school. So I think that that's really what this whole, meeting is about, is just sharing where we're going. We're still refining. There's still room to refine. We didn't want to get too far along before, you guys were able to see it and get your reaction. We didn't want to go that far down the road. Again, that's why you're seeing still black and white, because we want that input.
Yeah, Howard, anything else to add from your perspective? I might have neglected to say we plan to share for our student athletes as well. That's an important group.
No, I think, SGA obviously is an important group to get in front of, and at least to get some thoughts and ideas as to how they feel about the new marks, and then maybe come back and revisit it at their next meeting when they've had a little bit more chance to digest it. But we also plan on getting with alumni, athletic and non-athletic community members. We want to get as much input on this as we can.
Yeah, we're moving pretty quickly. There's coaches that are anxious to order new uniforms, and there's an opportunity for some of the environmental branding, including in the Patriot Center. So we are moving quickly, but I feel like we're moving forward inclusively, and we really value your thoughts and feedback. So with that, KC, I don't know if you want to moderate or just have people unmute or use the chat, whatever works for your format.
Sure. First off, I'd like to just say thank you to both you and Dr. Patterson and Olivia and Ms. Schmidt for coming to visit with us tonight and for being so open with this process. We definitely appreciate it. But in terms of that, I guess if you do have a question or a comment that you'd like to share, if you'll just use the raise hand feature so that I can kind of call on people as we go.
And if you need us to toggle back to any of the
Yeah.
other slides, we're happy to do that.
What are you guys thinking?
There we go.
All right, Chloe.
So I know you mentioned that color will come a little bit later. Are there similar restrictions to color? Because I know the colors of the UT Tyler and the UT Health are pretty similar. Is there like a certain direction that you guys are required to follow with that? Or is it pretty much up to what looks better, like Ms. Schmidt said?
Do you want me
I mean,
to?
I feel like we will be leveraging the brand colors and the equity that we have with the blue and the orange. And so I would expect that they would lean on those two colors most prominently. But, I don't know that I think when you're a designer working within kind of a brand ecosystem, you pick up on cues like that. And I think that we do feel like that there's equity in the blue and the orange.
I think that you also, just so you know, some of the thinking behind that as well, and even for the academic logo, was we want to feel very strongly part of the UT, the University of Texas system, but want to also have a little bit of your own identity. So that little nod to the blue keeps it Tyler. It's not Austin. It's not this, it's not UT Health, right? I think that there's a little bit of like a, make sure that you are belonging and feeling a part of it, but also you're still kind of have your own identity. And that was kind of why we want to bring the blue forward, especially even in the academic mark. The feeling is that we're going to use the blue pretty prominently in it, and have the orange be more of an accent.
Yeah, and I think the eagle really is where we just kind of really bring that history and what's resonated with alumni for decades and with students. So I'm excited with how prominent that is in this proposed system.
Yes, I definitely agree. I love to see the return of the eagle. That just screams UT Tyler to me. So that's exciting. Andrew?
Yeah, I had a question, not necessarily about this logo, but the mascot. Does this mean that the mascot will be getting any kind of updated look at all either? Or is it just, it's fine if not, I'm just curious.
Howard, I don't want to answer for you, but that has come up, and I think that's something that would probably need to be looked at. But Howard, I don't know, do you want to say with any more confidence anything on that?
Well, the only thing I can say is we've just actually finished a refresh of the mascot about a year ago, maybe a year and a half. So the mascot is fairly fresh in his or its current costume. But if there's a feeling that we need to take a look at that, a general consensus, then we'd certainly be willing to do that.
That's a great way of putting it. And, I think that's a fair and good question, and one that has come up.
Tina?
Okay, so on the academic logo, I guess if we're comparing it to the UT Health East Texas one, I've noticed that there's kind of two different tones of orange, so it kind of gives it a little bit more dimension. And I was wondering if we could maybe do something like that. Also, to me personally, you guys may not have this opinion, I think the eagle's claws look a little big for the eagle logo.
All really good comments, because I'm still working with a designer on the claws. I've actually already talked to him a little bit. Again, this is where we're refining some of it. All those kind of things are really, really good for us to hear. For example, we had in one of our first meetings, we didn't have the wingspan out high. We were so concerned about getting it in the shape, like the shape of the shield. We kind of forgot that he looked like he was, he looked like he was, truncated, right? So I think any of those comments are really, really welcome, because this is what we're doing in these next rounds. So now that we have sort of, if we like this direction, we like how he's sitting, it's going to be really refining. That's why the highlights magazine, kind of like that slide is like, you're literally taking pieces of white, connecting white, taking it away. So I love all of those comments, because these are things that we're going to start really, getting into and looking at. So yeah, I appreciate that. These are important things.
Justin?
And as far as the color, to address the color, we chose not to do the split. They found a lot of trouble reproducing it. It's that orange. It comes off as a little bit more brown, and we just wanted a cleaner orange for you guys, wanted a brighter, more simplified, and more in a stronger mark in that sense. So I think that we did make choices. We did look at things with a split color and that dimension, and with everything that's going on with the laurels and the book and the star and everything we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure that, again, readability, reproducing, all that things. So those were decisions that were made, and we wanted to have a really nice, bright, strong, clean orange. So that's why we went the way we went.
Justin?
Yeah, no, I first impressions, I think it's very clean. I definitely like the serif use. I guess my question would be, previously with the flag tee, that was like a standalone logo, and we could just put that, and that would be very recognizable. As far as like these logos, which one would be the standalone symbol? Like if we were to remove the lettering, the UT Tyler Patriots, would it be the one on the left or the one in the middle?
It most likely would be the one on the left, because I think that's the one we're considering to be probably more on the uniforms, because it's something that's going to reduce a lot easier. I feel as though the more illustrative one is really nice to have. It's going to be in bigger applications. So it might be on a gym floor. It might be. So I feel as though, it could be on a flag, but I think that when you're talking about something that's more of a standalone, it would be the one on the left. It would be in the shield.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good question.
Beverly?
Hey, I really like the shield. I feel like that's something you see a lot in a lot of athletic teams. With the colors, I would really like to still see that UT Tyler blue, white, orange, and even that gray, that if you look at the marketing little booklet that they mentioned, I feel like that orange just like really speaks UT Tyler. My sister, she goes to UTA and the UTA, and they use like a different kind of blue. It's like very, I want to say it's just like the regular blue, and ours is more like navy. And to me, that's more UT Tyler, but on the orange.
Absolutely. It's definitely, I think we're going to go for a 2-color versus with the gray, but it definitely orange and the blue are going to be the main.
Yeah, and then with the talons, I actually like how it's 2 and then the 1, because when we throw our talons up, it's the 2 with the 1. So,
all right, good to know.
I think that was a good little addition.
Okay.
I was just wondering, wait, am I unmuted? Oh wait, I am.
You're good.
I was just wondering how you got like the star placement done on like all 3 logos on the bottom.
It's interesting because we weirdly enough, again, the amount of movement, right? We moved the star around a lot. We kind of had it, we had it here so that it would be a direct lift from the head. And then that just didn't, it didn't feel right, especially when it got small. So we like the idea of, in this situation, having this be the word mark and how that's handled, having it kind of live up in here, and it kind of filled the space really well. So again, we started down here to match this, and then moved it to sort of match that. Again, you're building like a system, so they all still feel like they belong, but it gives you a little flexibility of different applications again. So we did have it down there, but it filled the space nicely there, and it also wasn't, worked really well in comparison to this. If that answered the question, I'm not sure if it did.
Good, thank you.
Jacqueline?
Hi, I have a couple things. First of all, can we go back to the slide where you had the multiple variations on the eagle and the shading you had there? And I would just like to know about, first of all, scalability. Have y'all thought about how this is going to translate to various stages of merch or, various branding inside the HPC or something like that? And if so, what kind of budget concerns you have there?
Yeah, I think that is definitely, again, there was, even in the round before, a lot of conversation. If you look at this wing, it's so much more simplified than even just this one. And we had different amounts that are again, of the shading and the connection. Like this wing is a tiny bit different than this one, right? I think once we get into this direction, that might not be something. This might not, you're going to have, minimum size for certain logos, right? And different applications. So for example, this will never be something that gets really, really tiny on a lapel. So I think that as far as what you're talking about, we're going to have this we're looking at it big and small, and we're going to keep refining it. And we're going to look at it at 2 inches wide and make sure that it still reads as we want it to read. But again, this may not ever be something that goes that tiny on something. Like if you have a hat, it's probably going to be the eagle, in the shield versus the full. So we're going to be, giving parameters when we build out this brand guide and this usage, there'll be parameters about how you use this and when you use it.
All right, thank you.
Chloe?
Could you go back to the other slide that you were just on?
Of course.
Sorry. So I have a couple questions. The one on the far right kind of just screams baseball to me. I don't know why. I'm on the tennis team here, and when I see that, I just think of like baseball team. And I don't know if it's the lines next to the wording or the font, but I just wanted to know where the flexibility on that was.
To be really transparent, I think that we're still working on what this word mark is. There's a lot of care that goes into that. I think there's probably still a lot of work to be done, like what exactly are those flares? But what I think is, the thought behind it was to give it a container, so this isn't gonna be situations again where it's just going to be it's usage, right? It probably won't be on your uniform and for tennis, or it probably won't be, it's building out that system. So exactly how do these I don't know, flares actually, how do they wrap around the type? That might still get, that might still evolve. But we liked where it was going as far as like sort of a nice container for the UT Tyler page, because it's a handful, right? It's not just, we're not using UTT, there's a lot going on there. So the effort is to make it feel like it's something that's like a patch, it's a sticker. Mm-hmm. It's something that it can, sit really well and be contained. And right. Again, when you start bringing color into it, we don't, we haven't really explored whether or not Patriots gets dimension or those lines get pushed back. I mean, there's going to be a lot that's going to happen after that as well. But again, it's usage. We got to remember each one of these things are going to have different purposes and different usage.
Yeah, and I'll own this one. I really my perspective on this is that this kind of a conversation is really helpful from a design and a brand development. But the trade-off is, some of these things that you are pointing out, they haven't been totally polished. And so, we're sharing something that's not complete, and, we're trying to do that in service of what's going to be, I think, a lot better at the end, to have this feedback incorporated. And like Karen said, this is excellent.
All this is helpful because again, we've been looking at this for a long time. So it's great to get, some fresh eyes on this and to get some of this different perspective is really great.
Casey, are we okay on time? I know there's a few more hands up.
Yes, we have 2 with their hands raised right now. Are you guys all right to take those last 2?
I'm good.
Fantastic. We'll let Landry go and then Beverly, and then that will be all for the evening. You guys are welcome to send comments in the chat as well. Go ahead, Landry.
I just want to say I do like the this logo. I like the idea, like Beverly pointed out, having the talons and how it matches how we do our swoop. Um, what I was going to ask is, it seems like we're going to, if this is decided as the next logo, it seems like we're going to be in this weird limbo of some people graduating with the flag T as their symbol and others graduating with potentially this. And kind of picking back off of what Chloe says, like what does, like, how long does this like rebranding process going to take if this is what is approved?
So I'm still, I can maybe play the new card for a little longer. I'm still figuring out our processes and, working with Howard and his team and on, what's, when you're doing a rebrand, especially something that is literally going to be imprinted on uniforms and in the environmental branding across the university, but especially in our athletic facilities. That takes time, and I think it's not something that you can flip a switch on. There are some things like a website that can go a little quicker. So I do think that it's going to take time to deploy the new mark once it's finalized and approved. Our goal is to take this feedback this month, make the refinements, probably do, like I said, a quantitative instrument to gain essentially feedback on the final direction or directions, and then work to share with our Board of Regents for approval at their May board meeting. So, and that would fall just after this academic year or the commencement concludes. And then this class of students would then have to adopt the new mark as alumni. So, I think that both really for this mark and the academic mark, likely, I think you'll start to see more of the shifts over the summer, hopefully in time for fall.
Really good question. Last but not least, Beverly.
So I actually have the T in front of me, and I'm gonna really miss it. But one thing I really like about that T is that it really unifies the UT system, Tyler, and then Texas, and then even the word Patriots has that T in it. And I would like to see something with the word Tyler still kind of, because right now with this logo, it's just there, and I don't know. I would like to see something with it, just like a standalone logo.
Something that says specifically like Tyler rather than the UT Tyler? Is that just so we're hearing that?
My bad, it wasn't unmuting. Kind of like how the word Tyler, the word Texas could have that flag T and people knew it was UT Tyler. Somewhere along those lines, maybe.
Got it.
I think that, I think we were trying to, in this, there was some attention to only affecting the P and the T in these letter forms. And again, these are less refined, but we originally had like the cuts, there's these small cuts in the P and T. Again, it's like sort of, what are those little moments? And what you're saying is you'd rather see something more strongly in the Tyler part, but we were trying to make the letters that are special in that word mark are the P and the T, only because it signifies Patriots and Tyler, right? So we did make an effort to sort of highlight that, but you're talking about more in the Tyler itself is what you're missing. Correct?
I see Joshua's comment in the chat as well. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Landry, you can speak last.
I just had one more question. I'm so sorry.
Sure, no, you're fine.
And I'm like, I just want to know like kind of what y'all's thought process is on this, but is there like any room at all to like kind of maybe slightly incorporate still the old flag T logo, like kind of like what Beverly's saying almost, if you like kept the T on the Tyler part, like just as a miniature flag T or something like that? Or it's, I mean, it's fine if not, if that's not what if we're trying to move away from that. But I just wanted to know if maybe that was in y'all's considerations or not.
we did talk about this. We did look at things. Actually, some of our first marks were trying to figure out how to incorporate the T itself. It feels really disjointed. So what we're really trying to do is pull other equities in, make sure we bring other things that nod to that. So you're not leaving it all behind. And that's like with the star. I mean, we even looked at some, like trying to incorporate some stripes here and there. So that there were design considerations there, but what happens is it sort of, are you doing that or are you doing this? So I think, again, we're trying to pull other equities to make sure we're not leaving that behind. That happens with the slab serif, that happens with the color, with the star, those kind of things. So it did feel a little out of place because it kind of comes out of nowhere. I think especially if you're not seeing like how the Tyler T was together. But again, these are all good things to hear. I mean, as we're moving forward, maybe there's a way that we're treating the color that helps reinforce it a little bit more. It's really good to hear that that's something that you guys are feeling like you still really, really important that we feel like we're bringing some of that equity through. So we'll do our best to keep pushing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. In the chat, I think we're all sort of in agreement that the center logo is our favorite overall.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
I thought that I would note that. I think that one just, like I said before, the eagle just screams E.G. Tyler. And I know, Jeff, that you talked about the angle of his head a little bit. I think that the noble high up angle, I like that.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but great.
Yeah, the one where he's like looking down a little bit more, that it's nice too. You mentioned that it makes him look fiercer, and I would agree. But I think that this one is more transferable. So I like it.
Yeah. And I think I'm seeing some in the chat that do gravitate towards the shield. And ideally, I mean, having a system that has the flexibility to have a mark like the middle one, which is, I think I can just totally picture it or something similar, maybe slightly more refined, huge on a court floor or on a big graphic on a wall. But then when you scale it down, something like the option on the left or a version of that is something that a lot of D1 programs, they have kind of some different uses and brand elements that they can leverage based on the need. And so to Jacqueline's point earlier about scalability for swag and things like that, I think the design team is being really intentional and thoughtful to have all of these considerations come into play and hopefully have a system that addresses all of them.
Awesome.
I mean, even when you just start to bring that one down, the reason why we're putting so much black in there is that you still feel the eagle. You know what I mean? Like, so we are looking at this large and small because it's something and that's where it seems so silly when you look at those 1, 2, 3, and it's like a little more white, a little less white, connected, not connected. It all makes a difference when you start to really bring it down in size. And if you look at a lot of the D1 schools, there's usually a lot of outline and a lot of black and a lot of negative space. So they have to work really hard for you, to make these things stand out.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, great feedback. And I do note the questions in the chat about the budget considerations. I think, like I said, I would not expect any kind of a deployment of whatever is finalized and approved and launched to be immediate. But I think that there are opportunities, especially in between seasons, to have some cost-effective, cost savings deployments of a new mark. So Casey, anything else or anything else you'd like us to cover?
No, I don't believe so. Like I said before, I definitely appreciate you guys coming to speak with us. We love the opportunity to provide feedback and the transparency that you and your team are providing throughout this process. So thank you very much. Can we give the Vice President and Ms. Schmidt a virtual round of applause?
Sorry I was so late, guys.
Well, and
I'm having a
apologies.
lot of trouble
for
getting
my-
on.
Apologies for my technical fumbling. But we don't have football, but I somehow managed to fumble. So apologies, but have a great meeting. Thank you so much for the time. And Casey, we'll follow up as we make progress on this process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take
Thank
care.
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Be well.
All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Moving on down the agenda, we are now to officer reports. So I will give you guys an update for me. Last week, I met with the president and we had a really good meeting. Talked a lot about the feedback that you guys provided regarding advising and had a fantastic conversation about that. I expect that I will have more to update you on as the semester continues. I also met with Jeff last week just to give him my thoughts on what the UT Tyler student body wants from, like the UT Tyler Instagram. And he asked me about TikTok and basically what are the kids up to these days. And so that was an interesting conversation. And I have already seen some of the things that I mentioned be implemented. Don't know if you saw, but the UT Tyler Instagram shouted out Engage today. That was an idea that I told him I really think that they should be promoting Engage on the UT Tyler page. He's already done it. So between that and the transparency that he's shown through this process, I really am enjoying working with him already. So anyway, that was sort of a tangent, but I've been really busy with that. We are getting ready for elections. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And just trekking through the last semester of college for me, which is really sad. So, Vice President Smith.
Today or this past week, I had a lot more on the front end of last week, so I don't have a whole lot to report on the back end. I'm excited for the community service event that's going to be happening Saturday. And then also I emailed Kate Younger with the HBC about doing the yoga event right now the date set is April 9th. And that'll be fun. I'm looking to get a coffee bar and a donut bar out there, so hopefully a lot of people will attend. Past that, I've just been doing various things, looking into different events that we could plan for the semester. And I'm excited to see Ward's budget presentation later, so that way I have a better idea of what we're working with this year.
Secretary Madden.
It's pretty much the same that I've been doing. I get the minutes out, the website's been updated. There was a post on social media of the COVID link and everything like that. That's it.
Okay. Treasurer Lindbergh.
Nothing to update about the budget right now because I haven't presented any budget, but present the budget later on tonight.
Okay. And Chief of Staff Bennett.
So a lot of you probably already know that I've had an exciting week. But other than that, I met with the QP today. We had a meeting with the Student Steering Committee. We're getting ready for the QP day and people having to do with the Quality Enhancement Plan coming in March. And they are also, I threw out the idea of, hey, y'all can come and table at midnight breakfast. So that might become a reality, might not. We'll see if any of them are available, and I'll save the rest for committee.
Great. Yeah, on that note, we should be sending out requests probably next week to student organizations about tables for midnight breakfast. You know how we had some activity tables last semester? Yeah, we're hoping to expand that. So we're going to send it out earlier so that we can hopefully get quite a few. So if you have a student org that you're associated with other than SGA, have them sign up. Anyway, that's a tangent. Moving on to committee reports. First up is events.
So I already kind of touched on what's been happening, the yoga event and then the community service event coming up. I want to get a date down for the online virtual. So I'll probably be asking y'all tomorrow when we could possibly do some online social, hopefully next week. And then I also forgot to mention in my officer report that I'll be attending the Handbook of Operating Procedures Committee tomorrow.
Awesome. Communications?
We tried to meet yesterday and my Zoom wouldn't work. We didn't have a lot to talk about. I know that I want to get with events and start posting about everything. That's pretty much it.
Yes, and we need y'all to start thinking of cute, interesting ways to post about the elections and signups for that as well.
Have we set a date?
We'll talk about it later, but yes. SGAC?
We met last Thursday and we approved about 4 organizations funding. So we're excited about that. Everything went smoothly. I tried to do a little bit things differently this time. I sent everybody who's a part of SGAC information on the organization beforehand. So when they come to the meeting, they have kind of a clue of who's going to be in the committee. So yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea. Rules?
So we met last night and we had a very productive conversation. I do not have anything to present yet. However, we are in the final stages of getting a good amount of stuff to bring to General Assembly basically all at once. And I'll be bringing it up here in the near future. So stay tuned.
Let me know. We can put it on the agenda if you know ahead of time. Okay, and last but not least, the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
Hey, so nothing really new to report. We're gonna start our first meeting this week, so I'll get that planned out and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys are interested in joining, make sure you message Landry or Macy and they can get you connected with the information and the times and all that good stuff. Okay, moving on to student voice reports. I'll pull up the agenda so you guys can see. We are going to have School of Nursing, OHA, Victory Village, University Pines, then Liberty Landing. So first up is School of Nursing.
I guess I can go ahead. Justin had mentioned that he met with Dean Haas the other day. I'm not quite sure what they talked about, but we were all planning to meet with the dean and Angie Copeland. Is Copeland her last name, correct? I want to make sure I get that right. Okay. So we're all planning to meet with her. She wants to meet once a month, like you had said. So we're going to try and get that up and running. They're implementing a new thing where they are just going ahead and registering their nursing students themselves for classes. I've been asking around. No one's really like not liking the idea, so that's good. Everyone's just like, if I need to change it, I'll just change it. So I'm like, okay, awesome. So we're just trying to get people to go ahead and get that hold off, the registration hold off of their account, because a lot of people don't know they have it, just so that the counselors can get that up and running.
Yeah, side note about that, Angie is very excited to meet with you guys, so I really would encourage you all to do that. But the auto enroll, I really am interested in hearing if there's student feedback on that, and I know that they are as well. So if you do hear rumblings about it, definitely let her and me know.
Got it. Yeah, I haven't heard anything too terrible about it. People are just like, all right.
For that sort of program, it honestly makes sense. And it's definitely a lot easier because the students that don't, for those of you that don't know, the nursing program, once you get into level 1, they're now auto enrolling you for the following levels. So that means that you don't have to go in and register yourself. And the reasoning behind that is it's so set anyway that there isn't much option to begin with. And that limits the number of students who are needing to go in to visit with an advisor, hopefully helping with their caseload. So that's what we're talking about.
Yes, and honestly, it takes like a lot of stress off of us as students because it's already hard enough being in level 1 because they changed the curriculum to where they're taking things out of level 3 and putting them in level 1. So it's a lot harder and a lot more stressful. So I think just taking the registration process off of us is just like a relief.
Yeah, hopefully it continues to go well. Shelby, did you have anything to add to that?
Not tonight. I think Valerie covered everything.
All right. Next up is Ornelas Hall.
There's not a whole lot. We did hall meetings since it's the beginning of the semester. That's pretty much same old, same old. Had a bit of a maintenance issue and they took a hot minute to get back to me, but they figured it out. And they actually let us know ahead of time when room checks are this time, so we're good. I know, and then a lot of people are just kind of getting tired of being in their rooms all the time because their classes are still online, so they're getting really antsy. I can hear them like running down the hallway.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. That's about it.
Thank you. Victory Village.
Hey, so nothing much. No one has really told me anything. I'm planning to meet with Whitney, our new RC. I haven't met her yet, and so I'm like, oh, I'm excited, but I'm also scared. We are going to have room checks next week, and then they had some random fire drill last week, I want to say. My days are so long, I don't even know. But I just remember coming out and being like, oh, what's going on? So nothing much. Everything's good.
I have a question for you about Victory.
Yes.
Where's the visitor parking? Because they have like where visitor parking used to be, they put those like black squares over it. Is that still visitor parking? You know what I'm talking about? Like on the back fence.
In the like where the clubhouse is?
No, like in like the main parking lot, like inside the gate. Like, is there visitor parking in there for people?
It should be. I know a lot of people that like live here just park there anyways.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's just not marked, so it's not super clear.
Yeah.
It says visitor parking on, if you go in the gate and you're facing the DMV, it's going to be in the back right.
That's what I thought. It's just those black squares are over it.
It says visitor parking in white on the bump.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
never
to the
mind.
right of like the RA maintenance house.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay. University Pines.
The gate was broken, but I talked to the RA and she said they were waiting on a part to go fix it, and I think it's fixed right now. And then we also had mental health checks, which were really nice. Yeah, it was kind of, they didn't really tell us they were gonna do that, so it was kind of awkward when the RA just walked into the apartment and was like, oh, how are you? Yeah, and we also had a fire alarm and maintenance checks canceled last week, so they're getting back to that this week or next week, I think. And then the fire alarm. Yeah, I think that's it. There were just a lot of checks this week that canceled and are rescheduled.
So mental health checks, that's interesting. Over the summer, I met with the housing staff and I sort of told them what some of my goals were, and they told me what some of their goals were. One priority of housing is definitely inclusive programming. So I don't know if you guys have checked out all the different housing Instagram pages, but they really have stayed true to that mission. And likewise, mental health is a common goal between our organizations. So, Z, I'd be really interested to hear if students were receptive to that. if you get a chance to talk to some RAs over in New Pines and find out if students were generally receptive to that, that could be something that we could recommend to other housing facilities. So I'd really appreciate that feedback if you don't mind.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Awesome, thank you. And then last but not least, oh, Bev, what's up?
Oh, she just reminded me that they actually did that last semester at Victory. They just, I don't know if they did it with everybody, but they messaged me and some other people on GroupMe saying, hey, how's it going? How was school and all that stuff. So that was really interesting to get one day too.
Interesting, good to know. Okay, Liberty Landing. Jacqueline.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, maintenance has been good. There's been a good event schedule. They've been keeping up with that really well and having great communication about it. About, room checks that are coming up and pest control or having to do fire extinguisher checks. I do have one concern though, is that I don't know if I missed messaging on this, but I received an email on 28th and Blair said he was leaving as residence coordinator, and I haven't received any information about Katie remaining a residence coordinator. And I checked the website recently and both of them said TBD. So I'm not entirely sure the state of having a residence coordinator right now.
I don't believe that Liberty Landing currently has one, but I can definitely verify that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, does anyone else have anything that go ahead, Daniel?
I was just gonna say, I think Marco as a grad assistant is kind of filling that role right now while they're trying to figure out exactly who's there. Because I know Marco served all of his undergrad and then most of his grad as RA. So I think he's kind of serving in that role right now.
Thank you, that's helpful. Okay. Moving on to old business. The only thing I have is the elections discussion. So let me type this in the chat as I go. I don't have it typed up. So candidacy meetings. And we will release all this information via Instagram and the website and everything as well. So you don't have to like remember it right now. And you're welcome to share it with your friends who want to be senators or well, only Senate can be on the executive board. But if you have friends that want to be senators, then they can come over. Okay, I've got it all sent in the chat now. So elections are coming up. We gave these dates to y'all last week, but they're approved now. So this is what we're going with. Basically, the election is happening March 28th through 30th, which is the week after homecoming. We decided on that date based on not having it during homecoming week so that candidates could campaign throughout that week. And we didn't want to do it much later because I want to have plentiful time for people coming into the organization to have an opportunity to shadow. So those are the dates we landed on. It'll be open for 3 full days, which is plenty of time. And then in terms of getting prepared for that, if you want to campaign, you do have to complete a candidacy meeting. And those are the 4 we have scheduled. If none of those dates and times work for you, then you would just need to email Josh to set up a meeting at a different time. And that third message about signups for the ballot, that's how you put your name on the list to actually go on the ballot. So those are 2 separate processes. And it will be open all the way through March 22nd. You are not technically required to complete a candidacy meeting, but if you don't, then you can't campaign. Any questions about that? Okay, sweet. And just a reminder, I sent this out to you guys, but I do have a Google form where you can sign up to schedule a time with me to learn about the executive board positions if that's something that you're interested in. I'm going to work on getting those scheduled tomorrow. So if you've submitted one and haven't heard from me, that's why. But definitely if you're even a little bit interested or you want 30 minutes to talk to me about SGA, then by all means. Cool. All right. Does anyone have anything to add to old business? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business, and I'd like to entertain a motion to discuss the budget.
Carrie says motion.
Second.
Or do you have the floor?
Okay, thank you. So after us talking to Josh and we went over some things that happened last semester, and this semester, we decided it was the best interest to like redo the budget. So these are some of the action items on the budget. Just want you guys to take a quick little look. All the head members of your committees, take a quick look. I'm not sure. We didn't talk about this, Casey, but I know there's a new committee, the environmental committee. I think that's what it's called. So we may need to discuss put an action item if you guys have a budget as well, because I know you guys wanted to do some stuff in Houston. So we may have to revise this, but just a quick look. You guys want to take a screenshot, jot down some notes on the action items for this budget. Just give you a quick look as well. The first semester, this was our budget. Far as I have seen, we did pretty well. Far as me, because SGAC went over budget about a couple $1,000s, but I mean, that was money going back to the students. So I guess that was okay. So for this semester, the budget, I did say 10,000, but we decided to go with 15,000. Looking at the account, so that's the total amount we plan a budget for this semester. So here is the breakdown. Ignore the budget on the left. I thought I took that off, but ignore the budget on the left. So the on the right, if I can just edit this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here's the budget. So you see SGAC got a little increase, events as well got a little increase. Actually, some of the malicious items have been taken off, like the phones and the phones. What else? Go back to the phones got taken off.
I think it was the SGA training.
Yeah, SGA training and the phones got taken off. So that's why it's a little bit smaller. And so this is our proposed budget for now. So if you guys have any questions, here's my email. And so open the floor to any questions.
You guys will see
I have a question.
we added a line item for distance campus events, and the reason is, you know, our Houston senators and Ward have not had an opportunity to experience all the events and things we've done. So now that Houston is back open, we want to make a trip down there as an executive board to make something happen for them. So that's why we added that specific line item. You had a question?
Me.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the distance campus events thing was really good, but how much did you cut the senator projects budget? Because I thought that was a pretty big amount, and looking at it now.
We got a pretty
Yeah.
We cut it pretty significantly, and of course, we're flexible. We can definitely put that back. We haven't had any this year, and Ord and I felt that because SGAC went over so significantly, and that is also a way of pouring back into the student body, that we would allocate the funds there and to the events we host. But if you guys think that we need to put that back and you guys have some projects in mind, then absolutely.
I was just wondering how much it was cut because it looks pretty low.
Yep. Beverly?
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if this relates to it, but are like the new senators getting shirts too? You know, like how we got them?
Do you mean the people who will be running for the fall?
Like the newer ones that entered in either at the end of last semester or the beginning of this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We haven't been back in person, but I do still have them ready to go.
I have another question. What is the student travel going towards?
So when you guys travel, you spend on food, drinks. Do you guys? I think do you guys stay at a hotel? Because you guys went to.
But UT Sac's done with. Like we won't travel again. So
Oh, it was Casey. Okay, Casey mentioned coming to Houston possibly. So.
Right.
okay, but can we do that with the current situation, or could we move that money around right now, or should we just save it?
I mean, we can move it around, but Ord confirmed that the Houston campus is open for us to be able to go down there this semester.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, I had a quick question. With SGAC, I know, Ord, you said you talked to 4 organizations yesterday. Is that updated or is that before?
What's that again?
I know you said something about you guys had met with 4 organizations earlier in the week or something. That budget, is that updated or no?
It's not updated.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Beverly?
Sorry, I must have left my hand up.
Oh, Daniel?
Hey, I've got 2 quick questions. One is the marketing budget. What exactly is that going towards?
That would go towards the new shirts for midnight breakfast and things like that.
Okay. And then the second question that I have is for this past term, Ord, I think you said that y'all went over budget for, was it SGAC? How far over budget did y'all go?
About $1,500.
Okay. What was the line item for it last semester?
They spent 5,500 and were allotted 4,000, which is why we bumped it up to 5,000 for this semester.
Okay. Do we anticipate going over by 500 again?
No, I'm not gonna let that happen again unless we come to the end like March and we decide to redo the budget or something like that. But I'm gonna be more vigilant in what I'm doing this semester.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Kina.
Do we have like a spreadsheet so we can see like what SGAC spent their funds on and whether that was like different organizations requesting money and how much they requested?
Yes, there is a spreadsheet. There's an Excel sheet. I'm not sure I can show you guys next week possibly. I got to update it a little bit because most of those things in the spreadsheet are from SGAC. The account is being updated as we speak from things that's coming in from a couple of weeks ago or last semester. So.
Kina, if you want to email Ord, we can get that over to you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Josh, do you have any comments before we vote?
No, no, I did talk to Ord about this budget. And I think, sorry, I do think this is a good problem to have. I think that the original budget that was allocated, I think the goal that Order is trying to achieve is to try to make sure that we can get more money back to student organizations. And so as we looked at the account at the end of the semester, we realized that yes, may have overspent on a line item for student groups, but that the account still has enough money to not only get us through the semester, but there's more opportunities to make sure that we adjust it for the spring to make sure that we can continue to try to help student groups, especially as they come back online and start doing in-person activity. And so I do think this is the first academic year that student government has done a much better job of using its resources and not letting it sit. And so, yes, it's this is a good conversation that we're having. So I see no issue. I think it's a good spot. And then this is not just because this is being proposed. This doesn't mean that it's 100% going to get you all used up. And so the next incoming executive board in the summer will still be able to. I'm pretty confident we'll still be able to use some of the remaining resources to purchase things that are needed for the summer and beyond.
Awesome. Does anyone have any comments? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the spring 2022 budget.
Carrie said motion.
Carried said motion.
Second.
Okay. Or will you stop sharing your screen so I can see the gallery view, please? Thank you. All in favor of approving the spring 2022 budget, please do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, please do a clapping emoji. And any abstentions, do a heart emoji. Fantastic. So that budget passes. Or I know that Landry in particular is interested in getting the line item amounts for events, so I'm sure he'll be emailing you about it. And for the Senate as well, if you're interested in how SGA spends our money, or comes and reports on it, but you're also welcome to email him at any time for an update on that. Okay, thank you so much. I'd like to entertain a motion to close discussion on this topic.
Carrie said motion.
Second.
Fantastic. That's all I have for new business. Does anyone have anything else to bring up? All right, seeing none, then we are now to advisor comments.
I think tonight was a pretty good meeting. I think what's exciting, long live Swoop. And so I was personally excited to see some of the marks. I know I'm, as a staff member, very excited. And I think there's some creative things that we can do with some of those potential new marks that are on the horizon. So I hope as students, I know that y'all were very vocal about making sure that y'all have input and been able to share that. And so hopefully y'all, felt that you were able to do that tonight. And as things pop up, I'm pretty confident you're more than welcome to send that over to Vice President of Marketing or Olivia in marketing with any additional feedback. They really do appreciate that. And the sooner that y'all can share that, the quicker they can incorporate that into the potential new marks. I think overall, I think y'all have got I've chatted with Casey briefly today, and I know that y'all have a lot of things on the horizon. So I'm excited to see this semester get going. And I'm excited to start seeing y'all back in person, hopefully starting next week. So keep up the good work. The one comment I do want to add, when we do get to committee reports, I would like to start seeing the senators start reporting back. The officers the executive board is, I know, heavily involved, but senators, this is kind of your time to talk about what each of the committees is doing and to share it from the Senate's perspective, not just from the e-board's perspective. So as we look moving forward, I do want to encourage senators to speak up as it relates to your committee. Other than that, keep up the good work.
Yeah, great feedback. So let me put the agenda on the screen real quick. Announcements. Number 1, Senator of the Week. You guys excited? I'm not seeing enough excitement in your faces. I'm just kidding. Okay, so our Senator of the Week is Justin Vargas. Woo, clap emojis. Yes. So reminder, please nominate your peers because it's very meaningful and helps build camaraderie. So keep up with that. The next thing, next week's meeting, like Josh mentioned, we should be back in person next week. Also next week, we have Dean Swinberge from the College of Business coming to visit us and potentially quite a few members of the Tyler City Council. So I told you guys previously to be prepared to dress nicer, and that will likely be next week. We'll be communicating with you guys definitely by Thursday what the expectations will be. So keep that on your radar. This third point here, commencement regalia. If you are graduating this semester, I just would like to know, and we're working on getting the stools together. I talked to Josh about that today. So if you would please send me a text or an email, preferably an email, just letting me know that you're graduating this semester before the end of the week, I would appreciate that. Because I know there are quite a few of us, okay? Cool. Thank you. And then lastly, for the announcements, like Landry mentioned, the service project at PAP is this weekend. He'll send out a message verifying who all is coming later this evening. So if you're planning on attending that, if you'll just make sure that you respond. Did I miss anything? Any other announcements? Any other events going on we should know about? Adon and Beverly?
Next week we have our Patriot Productions is hosting 2 events, and First Year Experience is hosting 1 event. On Monday, 12 to 1:30, you're gonna be able to make Valentine's Day cards at the UC foyer. Super exciting. On Tuesday, 12 to 2, there will be a Harry Potter Kahoot. All you gotta do is get the Kahoot pin that'll be posted on social media, and then take a quiz. If you win, you can win some cool prizes. Thursday, there will be a bingo from 12 to 1 in the UC ballroom. Yeah, we're excited to start throwing events again, but that's all I have for right now.
Great, yeah. Monday's Valentine's Day, so if you have a significant other and you haven't already bought a gift, here's your friendly reminder. Okay, so next week for student voice reports, it'll be College of Education and Psychology, College of Pharmacy, and Student Body at Large, so y'all be ready for that. Does anybody have any questions? All right, seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Carrie said motion.
Seconded.
All in favor, do a thumbs up emoji. All opposed, do a clap emoji. Any abstentions, do a heart emoji. All right, we're officially adjourned. Have a great week.